everyone. Welcome to the last lap to NMAT. Today we're going to look at reading comprehension. Let me see how many of you are in before we start the class. All right. So, some of you have been asking, like we're preparing for CAT, why we started NMAT. Well, NMAT is the precursor to CAT. You do well in NMAT, your confidence for taking CAT improves, and not just that, NMAT is a complete test. Hello Kamalkant, hello Mohit. All right, so that is the key. Now, what is the weightage of language skills in the NMAT exam? Hello Dishta, good afternoon. Hello Jaya, good evening. All right, is it afternoon or evening? I think till 4:30 we'll call it afternoon. After that we'll call it evening. All right, so 36 questions, 28 minutes allotted, and the level of difficulty is moderate. There is no minus marking, right? Good afternoon, Disha, Ritika. No minus marking. That means you try to answer as many questions as possible accurately, taking time. You say, I'm going to spend 30, the time that is given to me is this much. I will till, let's say, up to, how do I do it? 36 minutes, 28 minutes for 36 questions, till 25 or 22 minutes, I will work for accuracy. Okay, and that would mean most of the RC passages and the verbal ability questions would be done. After that, I will just mark ABCD, DCBA as it goes. We just had a power outage, so you can probably see me totally in the dark. There's no light, but it will come back. It has. All right. So the pattern, as you know, there were a lot of slots in NMAT. So there are different slots in there's a slight variation in the questions. But the slots that we took, and I and my team, my colleagues, all of us took one of the slots, and this seemed to be the average one last year. RC was 12 questions. Okay. So that means 1/3 of your paper was based on RC, right? Then there were parajumbles, analogies, fill in the blanks, vocabulary based, grammar based, and spotting the errors in grammar. So when you are preparing for NMAT, just keep answering the questions as they occur. Verbal ability, if it doesn't occur at the beginning, right? It's all mixed up. So if you have verbal ability questions, that is fill in the blanks, grammar, prepositions, spot the errors, these are easiest done, fastest. So those are the ones you should anyway attempt all the questions, but you should not spend too much time on those questions, because you know either I know it or I don't. I'm just going to mark an option. All right. Now the reading comprehension, in a particular slot, there were 3 reading comprehension passages with 4 questions each, and the topics, one was on history of banking in India, another was on hybrid schools, another was on economy. The level of difficulty was easy to moderate. Most of the questions were direct. So even if the passage read felt like it was difficult to read, you just keep reading, come to the question, go back to the relevant section of the passage and answer the questions, because most of the questions are direct or fact based questions. All right. Now, are you ready to solve a few questions, all of you? Right, let's start. I'll give you about 45 seconds per slide. Some of you I know will read it in 30, but I'll give you about 45 seconds per slide and then move on. Let me put the timer on. Okay. Next slide. Next slide. Next. All right. Now, what is the passage about? What is the passage about? Quickly, one word answers. Jaya, Ritika, Disha, Mohit, Kamal, anyone. In one sentence, what is the passage about? What did you understand from the first reading of the passage? We're not going to read it again before we look at the questions, right? What is your idea of the passage? Easy, you're going to attempt it immediately. Anyway, you have to attempt it. In NMAT, do not make the mistake of saying, I'll come back later. There is not. It's a speed game. So you just answer questions as you read them. Okay, and mark. All right. So first one, nobody gave me an answer. What is it about? Something called scientism. What is it about? Explaining the social world in terms of the physical or the natural world, whether that works or doesn't work. According to the author, causes and effects in the social world are they unrelated to each other, difficult to identify or predict, subject to manipulation at will, reducible to a single cause for each effect, or identical to that of the physical world? We added an option. This was a past year paper, 4 options, but we've added an option. Okay, so because NMAT has 5 options, it will take you a little more time. All right, it was easy to moderate. Which option do you think? What did the author say about causes and effects? You want me to summarize the passage? Yeah, so quickly let's go back to the passage. Okay, as I said, you should not go back to the passage, but if you have the first time, go to refer to a particular section of the passage, causes and effects. Okay, but anyway, I'll quickly summarize it for you. The first time that you read the passage should be the best, as in read it quickly but thoroughly. And only know the main point so that you know the flow of the passage. Scientism has left humanity in a technical mastery of inanimate nature, but improvised us in our quest for an answer to the riddle of the universe and our existence in it. So he's calling something scientism. Mastery of the inanimate nature it has given us, but where it comes to the universe and our existence, it has kind of improvised, adjusted according to the situation, kind of thing. Improvised, it hasn't given us an answer. Scientism has done worse than that with respect to the status as social beings, that is, to our life with our fellow beings. At least it has improvised, adapted. Improvisation means adapting, changing according to the situation. But with respect to our status as social beings, our life with our fellow human beings, it has done worse. What has it done? The quest for technical mastery of social life, comparable to our mastery of over nature, did not find scientism at a loss for an answer. It gave an answer for that also. Reason suggested that physical nature and social life were fundamentally alike, and therefore proposed identical methods for their domination. Just as they explained physical nature, they explained the social life that we have. What did they say? Since reason in the form of causality reveals itself most plainly, causality, this is the cause, this is the effect, that's called causality. Reason in the form of causality reveals itself most plainly in nature. Nature became the model for the social world. They made nature the model of the social world, and natural sciences became the image of social sciences. According to scientism, there was only one truth. So scientism as a theory believed there is only one truth. What is that? The truth of science. By knowing it, humanity would know all. This is one part. This is what scientism said. Then comes the main part. This was, however, a fallacious argument. It was false. From false comes the word fallacious. Its universal acceptor initiated an intellectual movement and a political techno which retarded rather than furthered human mastery of the social world. The presumption that it made retarded rather than furthered our knowledge and mastery of the social world. Why? The analogy between natural and social worlds is mistaken. It's wrong for two reasons. See how well he has written it. What are the two reasons? This comparison between natural and social world is wrong. Why? Human action is unable to model the social world with the same degree of technical perfection that is possible in the natural world. There's a lot of variation in the social world. The kind of technical perfection which is possible in the natural world is not there in the social world. On the other hand, the very notion that physical nature is the embodiment of reason, from which the analogy between natural and social world derives, is invalidated by modern scientific thought itself. It itself invalidates this notion that physical nature is the embodiment of reason. That means physical nature is not the embodiment of nature. Physical nature, as seen by the practitioner of science, consists of a multitude of isolated facts over which human action has complete control. We know that water boils at 212 degree Fahrenheit. By exposing water to this temperature, we can make it. So there are facts. We know these are facts, and we do exactly that. We'll get the results. We can make all practical knowledge of the physical world and all control over it is essentially the same kind. So we have control situations and we get our results. What is the flaw here? Scientism proposed the same kind of knowledge and control held true for the social world. The search single cause in social sciences, but was a faithful copy of the method of physical sciences. Yet, so they said there's a single cause. That is how they assumed. Yet in the social sphere, the logical coherence of natural science finds no adequate object. In social sphere, we do not have the natural coherence of the logical coherence of natural science. There is no single cause by which there is a certain effect. All right, any single cause in the social sphere can entail. So basically, there is no single, yet in the social sphere, the logical coherence of the natural science finds no adequate object. There is no single cause by which one can create a certain effect. And what is that? Will. Something that you want to do, your will. There is no single cause by which you can create that effect. Any single cause in the social sphere can entail an indefinite number of different effects, and the same effect and the same spring from an indefinite number, and the same cause, you should say, spring from an indefinite number of different effects. The same effect can spring from a indefinite null of different causes. So you have a cause causing an effect, a cause causing multiple effects, one effect caused by multiple causes. There is no predictability, there is no logic or coherence in this. Therefore, what is the answer to question 1? Cause and effects in the social world are. They're asking about social world. Why is it so difficult for science to be applied? What's the answer? A, B, C, D, or E? Quickly, let me see answers on both the sides, app and YouTube. Both. What's the answer? Unrelated, difficult to identify, subject to manipulation at will, reducible to a single cause, or identical to that of the physical world. What's the answer? I'm waiting. You can hear me, right? Okay. Oh, I've got only one answer so far. Come on. Have I lost you on YouTube? Those of you who are watching, I'm not seeing any answers. Kamal, Mohit, Disha, Ritika. What's the answer? No? Can you hear me? All right. Unrelated to each other, we cannot say. What is the author saying? That one cause can cause many effects. Here, this is the answer. One, no single cause creates our will. That is number one. Second, one cause can have number of effects. Third, the same effect and has springs from an indefinite number of different effects, and the same effect can spring from a number of different causes. So what does that make? The relationship between cause and effect difficult to identify or predict. So the answer is B. Correct? Okay, can you guys on YouTube listen to me, hear me, and can you see me? I'm not getting any answers from you. That's why I was wondering. If you can hear me and see me, just send me a message, yes or no. Let me just see. Just give me a minute. I'm just asking my tech team to see why I'm not able to see your response. All right. Okay. All right. But I'm not able to see your answers, Kamal. All right. Which of the following statements about scientism is supported by the passage? That means, which one of the following statements about scientism is best supported by the passage? That means, what can you conclude about scientism based on the facts given in the passage? So, what can you do that? Scientism provides the basis for mastery of the social world. Scientism is only superficially concerned with cause and effect relationships. It is subject to manipulation at will. It can be reducible to a single cause, or it's accurate though incomplete explanation. Which one is the correct answer? Is it A, B, C, or D? What can you conclude from what has been given? That scientism provides the basis for the mastery of the social world. Has the author said that? He says, scientism has provided the answer to the natural world, but it has not been able to provide us mastery of the social world, because the social world, human nature, human will operates differently. So this cannot be concluded. Scientism is only superficially concerned with cause and effect relationship. Did he say that? He said in physical world, one cause, we know what causes what effect, we have complete control over what is happening. So will he say this? There is only superficial. He has not said that it is not connected or connected with cause and effect. It is subject to manipulation at will. You can say anything, right? Because you are applying scientific principles to social world. Okay, so you can manipulate things. There is no single factor. It can be reducible to a single cause. No, he didn't say that. Accurate though incomplete. No, it is not accurate either, right? So that makes it wrong. So the correct answer is C. All right, okay, good. Next one. What The term scientism can best be defined as what? Again, main point of the passage, the term scientism can best be defined as. I'll show you the options, then I'll show you the passage also. The belief that the methods of physical sciences can be applied to all fields of inquiry, faith that human beings can master their physical limitations, the desire to keep social sciences separate from physical sciences, opinion that scientists must take moral responsibility for their actions, or the system of rules and norms of the social world. What are your answers? Quickly, let me see. Some reason my YouTube chat has just frozen. I'm not able to see, right? Sorry. I've lost you also. Hold on. Just give me a minute, guys. I've done something. I don't know what I did. I've missed. I'm just not able to see your chats. Just give me a minute. I'll ask the tech team to help me. All right. So here, let me just explain this answer. I'm not able to see your answers. Belief that the methods of physical sciences can be applied to all fields of inquiry. Yes, that is why it tried to see the explain the social world through the methods used in the physical world. So this is the correct answer. It did not say anything about physical limitations. This is the wrong word. Desire to keep social sciences. They are using social sciences to explain physical sciences to explain social sciences. So they wouldn't like to keep them separate, right? So this is not correct. Scientists must take moral responsibility. This is a very general statement out of scope of the passage. The system of rules and norms of the social world, what does that mean? That's also not the right answer. So I saw a couple of answers for A when before I lost you. My tech team is putting it right. So till then, uh, I have to work in the dark. Okay, thank you so much. I can see that now. Can you also set my YouTube chat? I can't see anything of the YouTube answers. Yeah, they're setting it up. All right. Guys, next one. In the passage, the author is most concerned with doing which of the following? That means he is asking what is the purpose of the author? What's the purpose of the author in writing the passage? What is he trying to do? Uphold the primacy of reason over superstition, attacking a particular approach to the social sciences, describing a method for achieving control over human social behavior, demonstrate the superiority of social sciences over natural sciences, or illustrating the identical nature of natural and social world. What do you think is the purpose of the author? Why did he write this passage? Let me see your answers. Quickly, A, B, C, D, or E. You don't have to go back to the passage for this. Okay, finally I can see your answers. Disha, thank you. Okay. Attacking a particular approach. Disha thinks it's B. What about the rest? How many think Disha is right? And how many have another opinion? Karthik thinks it's D. I see a couple of answers for E. Okay, first question. What is scientism? The author says the theory which explains the physical world and tries to also explain the social world through it. But it is fallacious, it is wrong. You cannot explain the social world, you cannot make the will of the human being, you cannot control the will of the human being. Therefore, you cannot use the same methods that you use for the natural world to explain the social world. So, where would he? The author is not showing the identical nature of natural and social world. Scientism tried to do that, and the author says it is fallacious. They were wrong. So, those of you who marked E is wrong. Which is the next correct answer? You have four options now. Lot of answers I saw for E. E is not wrong. E is not correct. Scientism tried to do it, but what is the author of the passage trying to do? He said scientism's theory is wrong, it is fallacious. You cannot explain human relations through the same way as you explain how water boils at a particular temperature. Correct? So the author doesn't believe in the identical nature, exactly the opposite. He is wrong. What about B? Demonstrate the superiority of social sciences over natural sciences? No, he is not saying this science is superior, this science is inferior. He is just saying you cannot explain these by using the methods of these. So this is also wrong. All right, next I saw some answers for C. Describing a method for achieving control over human social behavior. No, no, no. Did he tell you how to control human social behavior? He said no. He just said that human will, social sciences, social behavior, social world cannot be described because there is no single cause and effect. One cause can have many effects, so it's very unpredictable. So you can't have the same theory. In science, you can have a theory. If you heat water, heat it to a particular temperature, it evaporates, it changes into water vapor. But in the social world you can't have such perfectly controlled situations. That is why you can't apply. So he has not given any method on how to control human behavior. He just said human behavior cannot be, the social world cannot be explained by scientific methods. Attacking a particular approach. What is that approach he attacks? The approach that equates the social world with the natural world and tries to explain everything that's happening in the social world in the same way that it explains the natural world. He says, natural world, you can do that, with the social world, you can't do that. Therefore, the correct answer is B. This is a very common question in any RC, especially in NMAT. You can have a passage either asking you about the main idea or the primary purpose of the author. So you have to get this right. For that, you have to run through the main point of the passage. First, the author says this, then he says this, then he says this, then you'll get the answer right. Okay, those were the three questions in this passage. For the next passage, I want you to read thoroughly. All right, but quickly. I'm going to time you. Then I and you will again summarize. Then I'll give you the questions so you can get them almost all right. All right, okay, let's start. I'll give you 45 seconds to read the passage, about 45 to a minute, depending on the amount that is there. The passages look like they are difficult. They are not. So when you read, you simplify it and read. All right, I'm going to start now. Start. Next slide. Next. Next. Okay. Shall I summarize the passage for you once? Or shall we um, do it question wise? Question wise, summarize. What do you want? Summarize S, question wise Q. I'm not getting any answers. Q or S? All right. Which one is the only statement? Okay, summarize. I got the first answer. Okay, we'll just quickly summarize it. Okay, you have to do the summary as you read the passage. All right, so it shouldn't happen in it shouldn't happen in two steps. The more I'm going to read, and I'm going to underline only the important sentences that we have to summarize. The rest we will only come back to it if there's a question on it. The motive force that carried the psychoanalytic movement to a voluminous wave of popular attention, what made psychoanalysis popular and created for it considerable following among those discontent with the traditional methods and attitudes, is the frank direction of psychological instruments to the insistent and intimate problems of human relations. Psychoanalysis became popular became popular especially among those who were discontent with the traditional methods and attitudes because of the frank way it dealt with the problems of human relations. That's what this is saying. However false or however true its conclusions, however weak or strong its arguments, however effective or defective or even pernicious its practice, its mission is broadly humanistic. So, people say its conclusions are true or may challenge. So, he says they may be true, they may be false. They may be strong, they may be weak. They may be effective or defective or even pernicious. Pernicious means dangerous. Still, its mission, its objective was broadly humanistic. All right, it had its objective, a mission that was humanistic, that was sympathetic towards human beings, that was compassionate towards. So it was humanistic. Psychological enlightenment is presented as a program of salvation, something that has come to free you, something that has come to give you salvation. Okay, by no other appeal could the service of psychology have become so glorified. So psychoanalysis glorified the service of psychology. The therapeutic promise, let me just get rid of this. The therapeutic promise of psychoanalysis came as the most novel, most ambitious, most releasing of the long process of curative systems that marked the history of mental healing. There were a lot of systems that tried in the domain of mental healing, people who had mental problems, mental cures. Psychoanalysis was the most novel, the most new in that way, most and innovative, different, ambitious, and most releasing. It gave people the cure they wanted. In the long process of all kinds of mental healing, this had a lot of good points going for it. The next paragraph he says, to the contemporary trends in psychology. There were other schools of psychology. Psychoanalysis offered a rebuke, scolding, a challenge, because it's one more competition, a supplement. In addition to that, come here. So, a supplement. Though it appeared to ignore them, psychoanalysis wasn't bothered with the other contemporary trends in psychology, but actually it offered all this. It was a challenge, it was a scolding, it could also be used as a substitute, but it on its part appeared to ignore them. It didn't bother. Okay, with the practical purpose of applied psychology directed to human efficiency, it had no direct relation. So where applied psychology was concerned, psychoanalysis had no direct relation or no quarrel. It had no problems with applied psychology. The solution of behaviorism, like bidding for popular approval by reducing adjustment to a program of convincing, it found alien and irrelevant. It found behaviorism alien and irrelevant. The behaviorists found psychoanalysis mystical, fantastic, assumptive, and remote. So they basically didn't found each other. One found psychoanalysis found behaviorism irrelevant. Behaviorism thought it was exotic and fantastical. So this is the way they treated each other. They viewed each other. Even to the cognate formulations of mental hygiene, as likewise in its contact with related fields of psychology, psychoanalysis made no conciliatory advances. It didn't try to approach or come align with any of the fields of psychology. Towards psychiatry, psychoanalysis, nearest in psychology is psychiatry, its nearest kin, nearest relation. It took an unfriendly position. It was not, it had a too plainly implying a disdain. That means it was scornful towards psychiatry. Psychoanalysis ignored other subjects, it didn't bother about other subjects, it found them irrelevant. Towards psychoanalysis, it almost was unfriendly because it was contemptuous towards them. These estrangements, these alienations, this way it wasn't friendly to any of the fields in the domain, affects its relations throughout the domains of mind and its ill, other domains, and in the domain of mind and its ailments and its problems. It affected the relationship of psychoanalysis with all the other subjects, psychiatry, behaviorism, and others. But they came to head in the practice. They came to the point of conflict in the practice of uh, mental illness. From the outset, in the days of the struggle, when it had but a sparse and scattered discipleship, to the present position of prominence, Freudianism went its own way. So, from the time it was struggling with no followers to the time when it had found great prominence, Freudianism is followers of the theory of Freud. It went its own way. It was independent. It was neglected for most part by academic psychology. Academic psychology, the books that were written, taught in the institutions, that is academic psychology, as opposed to practice of psychiatry and psychology, it just neglected Freud. Freud was not part of it. Of dreams, lapses, neurosis, which is all Freudian terms, orthodox psychology has little say. Orthodox psychology didn't even mention these points. The second reason for the impression made by psychoanalysis, this is one reason psychoanalysis came on its own. The second reason for the impression made by psychoanalysis, once launched against the tide of academic resistance, it faced a lot of resistance from the academics, was its recognition of depth psychology, so much closer to human motivation. So, psychoanalysis recognized depth psychology. Remember, we don't have to understand the words, we only have to understand it in the context in which it is used. Psychoanalysis recognized depth psychology, and depth psychology is very close to human motivation. It is so much more intimate and direct than the analysis of mental factors. And psychoanalysis was involved in depth psychology, which had to do with human motivation. It was intimate, it was direct, it did not just analyze mental factors like the other fields did in the domain of mental illness. Most persons in trouble would be grateful for relief without critical examination of the theory behind the practice that helped them. So, I have a problem, I'll come to you as a doctor, and I will only be happy if you give me relief. I don't want to go in depth on finding out the theory behind the practice of how you cured me from my mental problems. Anyone at all acquainted with the ebb and flow of cures that cure, cures that fail, need not be told that the scientific basis of the system is often the least important factor. Anyone who's gone to a doctor and seen the flow, there are cures that will cure you. There are certain things that the doctor will suggest which cure you. Some don't. But you will see that the least important factor in all that, you don't sit and question the scientific basis of the system. Many of these systems arise empirically within a practice, because when you go to an allopathic medicine doctor, for example, you know that there are certain rules that he's following, he's gone through a process. Same way when you go to a homeopath or an Ayurvedic doctor, you are assuming that they have followed some practice. So, in many of these systems that people go to arise empirically within the practice, which by trial seem to give results. So, they have certain cures, and by trial, they'll see if it's effective and they use it. But this is not the case with psychoanalysis. What is psychoanalysis method? It belongs to the typical group of therapies in which practice is derivative of theory. Psychoanalysis has a theory first, and then it puts that into practice. So, practice follows theory. Practice is derived from a theory, not the other way around. Here, the pertinent psychological principle says, create a belief in the theory, the fact will create themselves. So, it's not like you see facts, you observe it, you use the cure on somebody. Based on the results, you don't build your theory. Psychoanalysis, the theory is built first, and then come the facts. Clear? Now, question 1. Which is the only statement supported by the passage? That means which is a conclusion or an inference you can draw from the passage. Psychoanalysis concentrated more on the theoretical remedies than their practical implementation. Psychoanalysis, so remember, the wrong options would seem to use the same word that have been used in the passage, but the meaning is totally different. Okay, so you need to keep that in mind. Psychoanalysis concentrated more on theoretical remedies than on their practical implementation. Psychoanalysis broke the shackles of convention, tradition, in its involvement with humanistic issues. The attitude of psychoanalysis towards analytical allied branches of psychology could at best be described as indifferent. Psychoanalysis dispelled the prevalent notion that dreams were repressed desire. Psychoanalysis offered a critical examination of its fundamental theories. Which one I going to reject immediately? Give me the answer number, question number, Nikita. Okay, 4, 5, like that. All right. Yeah, go on. Which is the only statement supported by the passage? The passage has given you information. So that would be, which of these statements would be supported by what has been said in the passage? Is it A, B, C, D, or E? Let me see the answers. I'm not seeing any answers. Is it A? Psychoanalysis concentrated more on the theoretical remedies than its practical implementation. Did he say that? It just said in psychoanalysis, the theory came first, then the practice. It did not say it concentrated more on X or Y. So this is wrong. Psychoanalysis broke the shackles. It just said psychoanalysis was more humanistic. It did not say it broke the fetters, the chains, the shackles, the hindrances of tradition. So this is wrong. It did not say that. It just said, see, this is, I'll tell you why you mentioned B. Let's go back to the passage. No, let me just see. No, let me just see. Yeah. It did say it broke the shackles, if I remember right. It went against convention and was more humanistic. Yeah. And let me get it right. Okay. So this is wrong. Okay. Now let's look at the answer where it talks about humanism. Okay. Somewhere here, where did it talk about humanism? I think right at the beginning. Mm. Okay, let's start with here. All right, so its mission is broadly humanistic, correct? By no, and then it says that the other things here, the therapeutic promise came as the most novel, most ambitious, most releasing of curative systems. So it went against the other traditional systems. It broke the shackles of conventions in its involvement with humanistic issues. I shouldn't have shown the answer. This is correct. The attitude of psychoanalysis towards allied branches could at best be described as indifferent. No, in with some it was indifferent. With some it had an unfriendly relations. It dispelled the prevalent notion that dreams were. Freud's main analysis was that, so that is not psychoanalysis. So this is wrong. Offered a critical examination of its fundamental theories. It didn't bother about it, right? Therefore, the correct answer is B. All right, next one. The popularity enjoyed by the psychoanalytic movement may be directly attributed. Why do you think the psychoanalytic movement was so popular? A. Dissatisfaction with existing methods of psychology. B. Its logical, coherent process of ratiocination, that is, explanation and reasoning it out. Its novel unconventionality in both postulate and practice. Its concentration upon the humanistic aspect of psychological analysis. And its similarity with the existing methods of psychology. Which one do you think is the main reason it was so popular? People were dissatisfied with existing methods of psychology. But was that the reason psychoanalysis became popular? Or because it has a logical and coherent process? Did it have a logical and coherent process of ratiocination? Its novel unconventionality, is its novelty the one that made it most popular? Its concentration on the humanistic aspect, did this make it most popular? Or its similarity with the existing methods of psychology? Which is the correct answer for question 6? Quickly. Question 6, A, B, C, D, or E? What is the answer for question 6? A, B, C, D, or E? What is the reason for its popularity? The reason for its popularity, yes, there was dissatisfaction with existing methods, but that that itself made people unhappy. Then it came along with this. So it says that yes, it is D. Its concentration on the humanistic aspect. It says that is what it was. Its mission was humanism, humanistic in its nature. Therefore, it became popular. Right? Okay. Which statement is refuted by the passage? Refuted means goes against. Which one says the opposite of what has been given? Is refuted by the statement. So, which of these statements is opposite what has been given in the passage? The popularity enjoyed by psychoanalysis is partly due to the disenchantment with the traditional methods of psychology. Psychoanalysis wooed people dissatisfied with other branches of psychology to swell their ranks. Psychoanalysts were pioneers in the realm of analysis of the subconscious mind. Psychoanalysis alienated allied branches of psychology. You have to see which one is refuted by the passage, which one goes against the passage, right? It took the lead in the domain of mind and its ills. Which one? As is refuted, goes against what has been mentioned in the passage. This has been mentioned. People were unhappy with the traditional methods of psychology. They were realm subconscious mind. They were the ones who were pioneers. Won't the passage is more or less talking novel. It was the novel, most different, unique. So you can say they were pioneers. They alienated allied branches. Nobody liked psychoanalysis because it was very different. Academic psychology ignored it. So yes, this is not refuted. This, it says no, that it was different, but it became very popular. So it was at its peak. It overtook everyone. It suggested. So you can infer this. But this one, did it deliberately go and woo the people, lure and attract the people to come to psychoanalysis in order to improve the numbers of their followers? It shows that it deliberately tried to get patients away from other branches to swell their ranks. It didn't do it. It ignored other branches. It did its own thing. It was, for most cases, it was ignored by academia, and it still went ahead. Freudism continued on its own. People came deliberate. People came to psychoanalysis. It didn't say psychoanalysts went and took people away from others. So the answer is B. Clear? psychoanalysts are of the opinion that, what is the main point of psychoanalysis? What are they saying? Methods of psychoanalysis must be in keeping with individual needs. Is this their main point? Inferences can be drawn empirically from repeated experience with any given theory. Do they talk of empirical studies and experiments? Theory leads to practice. Practice culminates in theory. Facts precedes theory. A, B, which one is the answer to question 8? Quickly. Nikita, Kamal, Disha, Sareem, anyone. Quickly give me the answer to 8 before we move on. Monica, I want one answer before I move on. What is the opinion of psychoanalysts? The last line of the passage, what does it say? Give them a theory, the fact will follow. So, what is their theory? That theory leads to practice. Clear? All right. We are already running into 1 hour, so we will not do passage 3, which is, we'll do it later in the next. Uh, so, how do you prepare for RC? It's a good idea to read the question first. When you read the passage, read it quickly once, read the question, then refer back to the passage in case of direct or fact-based questions. Clear? Any doubts? All right. I hope you have registered and registered for the open mock or taken the open mock. If you haven't, do take it. 30th September to 9th October, the All India Open Mock is there. It will help you with your CAT preparations. We also have a special series of questions which were created by IIM Bangalore past year question paper series from 2000, that is 2007 and 16, which is being taken by one of our staff faculty. Please watch it from 1st October onwards. All right, and don't forget to join us on NMAT 2022 First Impressions and Detailed Analysis, and follow us on all the social media platforms. All right, I will see you again very soon. Make sure you attend all the last lap sessions of NMAT. All right, see you. Bye-bye.